Hey all, welcome to the stream. And today it is day 7 and it's sprint. Really happy about this one. I have some ideas and I'm not really sure if that'll work, but let's see. I'll start streaming in a second. I was working on few stuff so far. I started doing what it was. So let's look at it, whatever I was doing so far. And it was Eatmaster who was helping me a bit because we got the same idea unfortunately, and he completed it first and I asked permission if I can continue with this or not. And it was sweet and he actually agreed. So yeah, let's do it. So what I'm trying to do is a camera which prints pictures. Okay, that's what I was thinking to go for. Is it all visible? So just let me know if it's all visible or not, or else I'll see if I can do anything to fix it. Let's give it a quick render just to see how things look in the camera view. Rendering. Oh yeah, nice master. Oh, you're here. Hi. I was just talking about you. Yeah, I like the lighting, the rim lighting and everything looks fine. So I think I can actually continue with this technique. Not really sure if I should because there are a few issues that can occur, like with blending shapes and stuff. But yeah, let's see what's the loss. If not, let's go to some other technique. I'll try to explain whatever I did so far. So let's see. And so basically this technique is using SDFs. Okay, SDFs is nothing but a sign distance function. It is sign and distance and function. There are three different words, right? Sign is nothing but SIGN, SIGN, which is either positive or negative sign. Okay, and then next we have distance. So distance function. So distance is basically how far it is from a particular location, which in this case is origin. How far it is from origin. Depending upon the distance, like everything at about this distance is positive and everything below this distance is negative. So it's basically that's how sign distance functions work. So every single surface has its own sign distance function. For example, a capsule which can look something like this. From here it is perpendicular, and these are the distance lines. So this one lies on this circle, these 2 points. So it'll take the brightness of these 2 points. Okay, and then this one will be inside this circle. So the intensity is going to be these 2 points. So you'll get like you'll get like you'll get like the distance of everything, and then it's scaled in the negative direction to make it negative and as well as positive. We can actually try building some distance functions. I can show you how to do that, but to be honest, I really don't want to spend more time on this because there are already like good resources for sign distance functions. I'll share one of the link. It's by Inigo Quills. Let me share that. Inigo Quills. So what this basically does is this website has like amazing resources for 3D and 2D SDF functions. So I'll put it in the chit chat. Hey, happy humor 3. welcome to the stream. So I'm using this one, and also Gabe, Gabe Bettini, he also made SDF function node groups for Blender. Okay, so let me just share that as well. you can check out on his Gumroad, and this is one of the best. He's one of the really amazing node guy. You should have probably known Gabe already. Everyone knows him now. So let me put the link right here as well. Hey Akshat. Hey Pawan. Isn't it late night for you? Okay, let me just continue with whatever I did so far. So basically, I'll be using a round cube. You can download the SDF functions from this links, and I'll be just continuing from there on. Okay. So far, this is what we have. Okay. So first of all, let's see how I made this, and let me start from here. Okay. So I started with converting object coordinates, texture coordinates to object coordinates, okay, which is just by doing these three things. And then I start using this SDF function, sign distance function of the rounded box, okay, and I'm computing the normals to basically get the locations. It's just an approximation, but this is how you can basically get the SDF. This is more used in ray matching and stuff, okay. So to get that, I'll use 3 vector math nodes. Okay, let's save this real quick. Livestream. Okay, and I'm connecting these 3 to 3 things, like, you know, the same thing, the same SDF, because I have to compute normals in 3 different directions. That's X direction, Y direction, Z direction, and I want to combine all these things to X, Y, and Z respectively. But there's one thing that I have to remember here, okay? So these 3 things are like the dimensions of it, like how thick it is, how tall it is, and how height it is, like what is the height of it. And then that is the rounded rectangle. The next one is the radius. So because for rounded cube or whatever, we have radius as well as, right? So for all these 3 things, I have to use the same value, right? So let's change this radius. And yeah, and then let's connect that to this, and also this. And let's keep the radius 0 right now. And also, before that, why did I add 3 add nodes? Basically, I want to shift the coordinates just a little bit in all 3 directions to compute the gradients, okay? 0.01. This is a little bit of hard concept, but I think I'll make a proper one, because it's the first time I wanted to use SDF, because, you know, this is one of the different techniques which everyone started using recently, and I really want to understand what's going on. So I was just experimenting it, and EatMaster was helping me out with that. And also now what you have to do is you have to basically give the dimensions. So for that, let's use a combine XYZ node. Okay, so let's connect this here, there, as well as here. Okay, now let's go about 0.5, 0.5, 0.5 in all directions. 0.5. You can't see much happening, but just wait a second. And then let's also duplicate this one more time, and let's use this the actual coordinates, like, you know, actual coordinates without any offset. So this gives you like, you know, before that also, let's also subtract the SDF from it, because, you know, right now you have the shape definition function, and you have to subtract it because it has to move from the origin, right, from the origin. And then let's normalize it to make it to only get the, you know, position vectors. I guess this is how we have to do it. Is that how I did it here? Yeah, that's basically how I did it. Now we got the unit vectors, right? So what I have to do is I have to scale this along the directions by the SDF, which is just this. Let's scale it. And let's use this as our displacement, okay? So we are getting somewhere. Like, what is the final thing? But sign distance function, as I told here, hey Matisse, hi, welcome back. This one is like a pretty complex stuff. I'm just showing how to work with it. So sign distance function, if I draw a cube sign distance function, everything is negative here. So when I scale it with the negative values inside, these things will move in the opposite directions and all our normals are flipped, okay? Like instead of going in this way, it's going in the opposite direction because, you know, these are like negative values which are inside it. So it's going to like, you know, shift in the opposite direction. So what we have to do is you have to flip it. To flip it, you can either use -1. There you go. Now we have a cube, but without any roundness, right? That's because our radius of the thing is at 0. So let's give it a little bit, like 0.1 or something. This should look a bit different, hopefully. Not 0.1, like 0.1. There you go. That looks much better, isn't it? So this is a technique which I learned from Vanis. Vanis Malfait actually posted this amazing resource for it, and I thought that was pretty cool. Let me just find that one real quick. Let's go to history. Yeah, here it is. The concept is inside the technique, like how to convert distance functions to vector displacements, and that's basically by computing normals. And then if at all if you want to scale along the normals, you don't have to think about anything because we already calculated the normals, right? Which is basically this normalized one, that those are the normals for this particular one, and which is already updated, so which is good. You don't have to like think about this normal or any other normal. I mean, both are same, but you know, there's a but I mean, look at this. This is like after displacement, okay, and this is also after displacement. Both are literally the same, except you can use this to basically like scale the distance functions or else any other gradient values, but you can't use this. That's because Blender is glitched. And CG Matter also made a recent video about that, saying that you can see that it's actually applying, like, you know, it's actually like updating, but you can't use them because it's actually outputting the values that it is showing is basically the updated values, but while it's computing, it's taking the default, like, you know, the pre-displaced values, which is not what we want. So but then this one is like properly computed one, so you can use this to scale. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll basically change the dimensions just a bit, I guess, along the z direction. Let's go about 0.2. 0.2 is too less. Let's go about 0.3. And in the side view, which is basically y direction, or else x, I think it's x, let's go about there, like just a mini camera, 0.25. yeah. And along the y direction, which is basically this, I think that's fine. 0.5, 0.3, 0.25 actually looks like a nice camera, like a voltage vintage camera. So I want some buttons here on top of that, you know, and then some other stuff. Maybe I can do some booleans in this direction. I'm not really sure. Let's try. Whatever. And hey Firefox, welcome to the stream. So what I want to do next is make the, like what I did here. Let's see what I did here first. Okay, so this is the final output. Let's look at the displacement. So here I actually made this one, like, you know, like this little camera thing which comes front. We can animate this as well if at all, if you plan to, but then yeah. So to do that, it's basically a circle. Okay, a circle. So let's start by making a circle. So let's connect this back and let's start from scratch again. But let's organize everything a little more, because, you know, it's all messy. And you can basically rename this one particular thing to, like, you know, normals. Hopefully this makes sense. Yeah, I'm vector displacing not a printer exactly, a camera. Scale y0 and scale x0, shift is equals to, yeah, so far so good. I'm trying out new techniques this time because I really want to like come out of the, I really want to try some new stuff to learn, basically. Like whatever I'm learning, I'm basically putting here so I can come back and look at my own streams to understand everything. So yeah, next up, what do we have? Looks like this is too big, honestly. Let's so let's actually decrease it along the y direction a little bit more to about 0.2. And yeah, and z direction, I think that's fine for now. Let's actually work on it now. So finally, what we have to do is we have to get a circle in the front view, right? Which is front view is basically, okay. I think I made this opposite, like, to scale, I should change the scale in x and y direction, okay? Because they're flipped for some reason. So now when I look at the front view, this is what I get, right? So I want a circle here, like, but then little bit the side. So how to get a circle? For that, we know how, if at all, if you're looking at this channel for a while, circle is nothing but length. You can use length to basically get a circle, but you can't see anything. That's because it's 3 dimensions and we have to convert them into 2 dimensions, like, the front. So what we could do is we can either use distance, let's see, distance, and you can also use normalize. Let's normalize. There you are. And also let's normalize this. Okay, now you have this on that direction, so let's bring it to the front. It should be somewhere there. Using normalize is a little bit, using this one is a little bit tricky. Let's try to, yeah, there you go. The gradient is about there, the circle. Now let's bring him up in the z direction. Yeah, either you can use this because you won't get it in the opposite directions, and you can place it wherever you want. So let's place it about there, and you can start using this gradient. Or else there's one more thing. What you could do is you can basically separate them, and combine them, except don't combine let's look at this one for now. Don't combine y, okay? Y is basically this one, right? But combine z to y. What this is doing, look at that. So you're basically neglecting the z-axis, but then you're getting you're converting the z-axis gradient to the y-axis gradient. So you're basically rotating the whole axis, right? The whole coordinate geometry, coordinates, whatever I'm saying. So now when you do length, you can see 2 things happening. You're getting the circle right in the front and also in the back. We can mask this out. That's not a problem, right? So to basically shift them along any direction, we can either use vector math, add or subtract, like to move it in any direction. Or else you can use mapping node. Mapping node to move it in any direction, basically. Or else you can simply use a math node right here, like y to go to somewhere else. You can go about there, right? So this is computationally less expensive, that's why I'm using this technique, okay? And let's save the file real quick, and let's take a math node. and subtract some value. So you can basically make the circle and you can extrude it. But as I can see here, this is too to the other direction. So let's move it just a bit about there. So I guys able to follow, hopefully. Just let me know, guys. And to right now the gradient is going from 0 to 2.20. Okay, so but then I want to make it go from 0 to 1. So to do that, let's divide it by the same value. Now this will go from 0 to 1. Okay, all the time, like it's going to maintain that anyway. But there's something else I want to do here, like okay, let's actually continue with this and let's see if we can improve anything. Okay, so now these values are negative values, right? So we have to clamp them, and these are the positive values. So let's take a vector math, let's scale them about the normals. Okay, right now I don't want to scale it about the normals of the sphere which we started, like this one. I don't want to scale it about that. I want to scale it about the normals of this SDF, like the what is this called, the rounded box. And you know that we already made the normals right here. These are the normals. So let's scale it about that. Vector math, scale about that. Now you have this one. And let's add this to our vector displacement so far. Okay, now you can see, because these gradients are like linear gradients, they're going to shift it, but then it's happening in the two different directions. But I don't want that. I only want it in one direction, right? So what I could do is I can make a mask along y direction and make it, make a mask greater than 0, like, or else less than, probably less than 0 will basically give me a mask, right? Now I can multiply this mask with this divide node, basically multiply. There you go. Now everything, this is going to stay put, it's not going to displace anything. But yeah, so far so good. Now the other side is going to get neglected, and then it's only happening in the one direction. Hello Matisse. Oh yeah. I made my first vector displacement thingy today. Still very confused about vector displacement. Oh, okay, Firefox, you can think about vector displacement as this. I mean, I'm doing this in every single live stream because it's really important to understand the basics. What vector displacement is, let's say we have the origin, right? Vectors are just points in space, or else it has, everyone says it has magnitude and direction. Direction is nothing but a unit vector pointing along any direction in the 3D space. Okay, but to reach at this location or something, you have to scale the unit vector, which is with one magnitude, about 5 times or something, like 1 second square, third, oh god, let me just draw it neatly. Second time, third time, fourth time, and fifth time. When you like basically scale it by 5 times, this vector is going to reach there. And to reach this vector, you have to take a directional vector, which is a unit vector in that direction, and you have to scale it about, like, how many times, like sometimes. So that's basically what I'm doing here. I'm taking the scalar values and scaling them along that particular direction. You basically along the normal directions, right? Perpendicular to this surface. Those are the normals. Normals are nothing but they're perpendicular to the surface, and I want this to happen perpendicularly, right? So that's why, that's exactly why I'm doing that. Okay, hopefully that made sense. I'm not really sure what is a Polaroid camera, but let me just check. Interpixel, Polaroid camera. Oh yes. Yeah, something similar to that. There are like so many things, and I think I kind of like this one because it seems what I want to do. But let me see if I can download this. Hmm. Yeah, got it. Yeah, something similar to this because it looks kind of cute. Hmm. Let's see. Or else I could see some other reference images. But basically what I want is to just make a print, like whatever it's going to be, it should print it. Hmm. I kind of forgot that you can't see whatever I'm searching, but yeah, that's how it is. Okay, let's actually start doing stuff instead of like just searching for reference images. Later we can modify them anyway. So basically now I have this gradient, right? So what I was saying is for the vector displacement, because we have the vectors, that particular direction, and let's take a surface. Let's say this uneven surface, okay, like a noise. So if I want to move a point which is exactly at the origin right now, to move to that direction, I have to I have to get a scalar at every single I mean, I have a like, the black and white values are basically the heights, right? So I can scale the unit vector along the direction until there to reach this point. Same with this point, and same with this point. So all these points, when they are scaled in those particular directions to reach these particular surface, that's basically vector displacement. You're basically displacing the vectors to this particular location to get the surface. Hopefully that made sense. If not, let me know. I think I'll make an exclusive tutorial for that instead of explaining it every single time. Okay, so let's see, what do we have so far. Now I kind of want to shape them a bit. So to shape anything, we could use RGB curves, right? So let's use an RGB curve. What RGB curve does is it takes a linear gradient and basically shapes it according to what we want, right? So let's go about that. Kind of looks good. Let's get down and let's say auto clamped handles, and the bottom one also auto clamped. Now this looks something like that. We could do a little more stuff to this, but this is how I think this is a good start. What do you guys think? Oh, okay, interpixel. I didn't know about that. Polaroid cameras are actually interesting. That's the first camera. Like, I saw the camera for the first time in Mr. Bean. So yeah, let's multiply this with lower value to basically just show a little bit of offset. Hopefully this should look fine, I guess. Let's go about like 0.75 here, 0.75, 0.75 here. So this is like perfectly flat right now, and we have a little bit of stretching issues, and basically we can get rid of them by either having a lot of geometry or updating the surface. It's updating right now, the geometry. Let's see. Yeah, it's updating again. I have no idea why. Yeah, see, it's kind of gone. Or else we can actually do a little more thing here. You can get this thing down just a bit to make it a little smoother, and that should basically solve everything. And I think when you give the diffuse shader, I don't think so you can see the artifacts anymore. So yeah, I multiplied this because I'm basically decreasing the intensity of pixels so that it only moves to a certain level. Yeah, that's nice. Mr. Bean, it's amazing. Oh, thank you, Akash. Sorry, Akshat. Yeah, so that's where we got so far. And let's see here. Yeah, I think that looks good. I'm using a dim light setup because you know uh, when it's completely blown up, like right about 1 or something. See, even this with black actually we can see a little bit of details, right? So if it is at 1, it's all blown up. I can't see anything, like not much details. So I kind of decrease the strength here. I'm using this lighting setup for now. Normally this is my basic lighting setup when I look at it, which looks pretty good on this actually, right? Yeah. And because this is all procedural, we can actually change the location right here. And yeah. And let's see what else do we have here. So it kind of looks like this. Nice. Let's save the file again. Not really sure if I want to do similar one, but yeah, let's actually do it. No problem, no big deal. I don't want to change the location, so I'm going to use the same length, but just going to change these 3 things. So I'm just duplicating them. Oh god, I don't know why it went so down. Let's keep it about there. Let's look at this just for now. And I want to like decrease the radius a bit less, like about 0.13, I guess. And I want to subtract, like I want to subtract this value from here, just to see how that's gonna look. Obviously I have to like decrease the intensity of this, so let's make it like 0.1 or something, but even less actually, like 0.01. It's going to be little pushed in. Okay, that's why I'm subtracting it, nothing more than that. Or else instead of using this little gradient, we can use some shaping functions. Shaping functions are like these math functions that takes a gradient that's going from -1 to 1 and change the values to something else. Let me just find that one. Yeah, here that is. So I'm sharing the link, just check that out, hopefully. And let me just download this image. I can't save the image unfortunately, but someone sent this in the Discord server a while ago. Let me just find that real quick. I think it's Eat Master. Let's see. Just give me a second. I'm sorry if I'm actually lagging. Save image as. Okay, got it. Open link. Yep. Save as. Image. Let's drag this in. So as you can see here, so these are the functions. Can you see these functions? Obviously it's going to get pixelated. That's why I shared you the link. So that link is like a really high quality image, so that's going to look better. So what's happening here is here this is like a gradient that's going from 0 to 1. Okay, which means basically it should look something like this. Okay, I think I'm okay. So basically let's say this is -1 and this is 1. Okay, not here, little bit less, little bit there. This is 1. So linear gradient is something that starts somewhere about there at 1 and 1, but -1 here, and passes through origin and reaches 1. Okay, this is like a linear gradient. This happens forever till infinity, right? So what this functions will do is it will take this linear gradient, which is going from -1 to 1, and it will shape them to this one, like these shapes. So you can simply like take a -1 to 1 graph and you can shape it into any of these functions. And also what all you have to do is remember only these functions, these 5 functions, and just by changing this power, right now it is at 0.5, it's going to give something like this. At 1 it's going to give a straight line, At 1.5 it's going to look like this, and 2 it's going to make it more smoother, and so on. So it's just changing this power values in every single thing. So all you have to remember is this 5 graphs basically. So it'll take this curve, and if you basically apply this function to that, it's going to like change it something like this or this, depending upon what you are going for. And it's really handy. Okay, and I hope that helps you guys. And yeah, so far that's it. Hey Lucas. And now let's get back. I'm just going to duplicate it one more time, and pull this up even a little bit more. To that, I think I'll change the radius to about 0.02, not too much. 0.12, sorry, not too much. And let's actually multiply this by a little smaller number. Let's try to add it. Let's add. Now it's going to push it outwards. Maybe let's go a little bit. Okay, 1 second. This should be 1.3. This should be 1.23. So I'm going to like delete this one, or else keep it a little far. Let me just keep it somewhere there, because this is like my first attempt to create a rounded box. So let's look at this now, how this is going to look. It's updating mesh and everything. There you go. You start getting that nice little shape. That's exactly what I was talking about. And you can go for more iterations, but I think this looks good so far. I don't want to like continue improving the details on top of that. It's not worth it. All you have to know how to like basically make this shapes, so that you can basically duplicate them and do more iterations and add more finer details on top of that. But we are going to do some more stuff. Like we are going to see how to create more functions, like more capsules, like more functions, and see how you can animate them together. I'm not really sure if I want to do that, but let's do it. So basically, this is not the whole node setup. So all these things are just for my practice and learning purpose. So let me keep it aside. All we have to care about is these node groups. Okay, so I'm gonna take a while to arrange them. Oh, Pawan, what was that? Can you show us how difference of two functions from that image will look like? Difference? You mean like subtraction? Like you mean this and this? I'm not really sure like what you're talking about. Can you like be more specific? I'll try to help you out. But by then, like I'll wait for your reply. But then I'll just arrange everything. It looks so messy, and I don't like it. Okay, and let be there. Let me bring this a little back. Scale y0. Scale y0. Scale y0. But not this one. I think I can call this as lens, right? So let me just make that one and say lens. Lens, yeah. And I should scale them and finally add them. So far so good. I'm happy with how it's turning out. I was really not confident enough when I started this, but yeah, now I feel actually pretty confident. And next up, So Pawan, like let me know, or like honestly, I didn't understand that one question, but I'm really hoping to help you out. So how long has this been stream going on? I'm not really sure. Just let me know if at all by looking at the time. And yeah, I think I'm going pretty slow. Let's actually speed this up. So next up, I want to add like minor details. So let's look at the reference image and see what all shapes can we find to make. So we had this like like small details, right? Like these things. We can do that pretty easily. And there's like a small dots on the sides. We have all these minor details, and you can see that we have this image that's coming out from this particular shape. And this is pretty easy to make, honestly. So let's wait for that. But if you are if and then obviously there are like few buttons on top, and there is this nice little cut that's going in, and this minor details. We are going to add every single thing right now, so let's just take some time and let's do it. Are you guys excited? Yes, I'm excited. Yeah, okay, let's do it. And, and okay, let's add the minor details, because we are working with circles. Let's complete all the circles that we have so far. So as you can see here, there is some circles here, there and there. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate this things and keep it right there. Where did that go? Okay, it went to this side. Yeah, whatever. So as you can see here, I have the length function here, because I'm using z-axis as my y-axis. But now let's actually change y-axis to y-axis. Okay, so now when you look at this, this actually looks perfect, like pretty good. Like, not good, what am I even saying? Like, this is how it should always be, right? So this is like our normal coordinates, and when you just remove this, you can see that the whole z-axis is gone, and you can only see there's only x-axis and y-axis. So now when I do length, I'll get this circle here, like the gradients, radial gradient. Now again I can use subtract, but invert them, and another value node, divide them, the same tricks again and again to maintain the gradient that's going from 0 to 1. And you can look at that. There you go, that's perfect. Do I want this big one? I really don't know. It already depends, it always depends. Okay, so we can go a little smaller or a little bigger, whatever. Next up, what we could do is we can add another RGB curve, and we have to scale this along the normals. As you know, our normals are already computed right here, so we're going to use that. So let's take a vector math. Okay, not this. Like, let's take a scale node. Let's scale this one above the normals, and let's add them to our coordinates. Like, just do an add, and I'm sure something's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Like, you can see it's all messed up. That's because we didn't clamp it here. Okay, I literally realized right after I plugged it. You have to clamp it because there are like negative values here. See? Now as you can see here, it's all working fine, except it's going in two directions, right? Because when you remove the z-axis, you can see the x-axis on top as well as bottom. Like, look at here, like bottom as well as top, the same thing. Okay, so that's why, as you know, that we have this less than gradient that we have took from here. So I can do along the z direction to make a black and white mask, right? But then this time I want it on the top, so instead of less than, let's use a greater than, so that it'll flip. Now let's multiply this two together. So now you can see that because this is all black now, when you multiply any values like these values with black, it's going to get ignored, right? And now we have only this one, and now we can do a little bit of more stuff to it, and let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't look at the chat, and looks like there's a lot going on. Let me just take a second and answer to all of them. So you're talking about subtraction. Oh, okay. Don't worry too much about it. Going too slow. You're helping us a lot by showing the numbers. Oh, it's fine. Thank you, Lucas. First function with 0.5 value, when you use to displace it, gives a cone type, and displacement as well as increase become more rounded from the tip. Oh, yeah. That's because I'm using an RGB curve over there, right? But what will happen when you take a subtraction of both functions? So you're asking me to basically subtract the first function with the second function, like, this one, right? This is exactly what I'm doing. Like, how can I say? Let's look at this. So, oh god. Yeah, I got it. So, every time when you like use a distance function or something, you always get a linear gradient, okay? So that's why when this radial array, like, when it's radial gradient, it starts from 0 and moves back in all directions, and it keeps increasing the value. But then when you subtract it from 1, so 1, you have 1 here, and you have 0 here, and you have like some infinity values here, like say 5, okay? So when you subtract everything from 1, 1 minus 0, 1 minus 1, and 1 minus 5. So all these things will become 1, 0, minus 4, right? So it's going to like invert the whole black and white ranges to 1, 0, and so on till minus values. So that's why we clamped it over here, okay? That's why when you clamp it, it's only going to like change all the negative values to 0. Okay, so that's how this works. But as you said, we have this one and then we have this one. Like there are two circles on top of each other with different radius. When you subtract it, what's going to happen is it's going to subtract and it's going to push inside. That's exactly what happened here when I subtracted. Or else let's just make it one on one. You'll understand what I'm trying to say. It's going to like displace a little more, but hopefully that should make you understand. So right now you can see without subtracting this, if I just send this out, you can see I'm getting like a normal, and let's also mute this one. I'm just getting a normal surface, like just extruded surface. But when I subtract this value, like, this one, it's going to push in because it's positive values right here. I mean, these are positive values. So when I subtract it from this positive values, positives minus positives are going to either get 0 or else it's going to decrease the value or else it's going to make it negative. So it will push inwards. So that's exactly what happens when I unmute this. It's going to push inwards. Look at that. It reached all the way to the bottom. Now, again, let's see what I have here. Here, again, I have something that looks like, let's also make this one, okay? So there's white. So when I add them back, what happens here is it's going to push outwards. Like, that's why I will be getting that. So let me just change back things to its actual thing. So let's go about like 1.3 again. Maybe a little more. Yeah, that's pretty good so far. Hopefully you understood that. Oh yeah, you understood that. No problem. So next up, what do we have? We have this nice little thing going on over there. So let's actually change it. But instead, now what I want to do is like I want to use these functions, okay? I don't want to like use RGB curves every single time because it's more easy to understand. Let's actually take this linear gradient that going from 0 to 1 and change this to something else. So let's look at one of the function. Let's see. I want like a really sharp fall off, like, something like this looks fine, but I don't want that, honestly. Not this, not this. Maybe this one, yeah? What do you think? It's 1 minus power of max of 0, comma, absolute of x minus point, like my into 2 minus 1, I guess. Not really sure. I need like a really high quality image. Let's actually look into the high quality image. Hmm. Okay, it's 1 minus power of max of 0 comma absolute of x times 2 minus 1. Oh, that's so weird. It's such a big one. Is it that one what I'm supposed to be looking at? Not really sure. Look, it's confusing here. So this one is corresponding, this one is corresponding, this one is corresponding to this one. 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 Okay, I think there's a little bit of cutting over here. It's not completely completed, but I'm sure like this value, like there is something missing here. I don't think so I can use that one, because look at this, till 1 everything is fine. After that we need another output to basically close the graph. So I have a closing graph for this, which is basically this, and I don't have one for the max, complete max. I don't have one, so I don't think so I can use this function. Okay, let's go with these functions, like 1 minus power of absolute x comma 3.5. Okay, let's write it down. Okay, let's literally write it down. 1 minus, okay, it's literally 1 minus power of absolute of x. Absolute of x is basically this to the power of 3.5. So literally we have to write this equation now. Okay, let's do that then. Okay, to do that we need x. X is nothing but the linear gradient. Okay, there's nothing complex, like you don't need separate xyz node or something. The gradient, this output is going to be x, so let's take an absolute of it. Oh, but remember guys, there's something which you have to remember. I forgot to say that it's always going from -1 to 1. It's not going from 0 to 1, right? So we have to think about it. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Slowly we can change it anyway, or else we can actually use in a map range. I don't think so that'll actually work, but yeah, whatever, let's give it a try. Let's take a math absolute. Let's take power of 3.5, and then let's subtract it from 1, and let's give this to the scale. Nice. Let's clamp it. Clamp here. We don't have to clamp it, I guess. As I told you, it's not like going from -1 to 1, right? That's a problem. Let's think what else can we do. Okay, we can do something else. You can simply use a power node. Okay, like let me try to explain what power does. Okay, now instead of everything, let's only use a power node. Power. Let's change the exponent to about like 2, or like lower actually, to make it more rounded on top. And to look at it properly, what I'll do is I'll multiply this with a lower value, like like 0.2 or something, so that you can see it better. Can you see that better? Hopefully. So now let's decrease the value and see what happens to the shape of this one. So when you start going for lower values, you can see that it's actually bulging a little, right? Let's go a little more. You can see that it starts bulging. Let's go a little, like 0.1. There you go. Even a little more, we can go a little more as well. Like let's go about 0.3 or something. There you go. That's exactly what I mean. So, but then you're getting this mesh artifacts. I think that's absolutely fine. Not at all a big deal. When you update the mesh, everything's gonna look good. So, but now what you could do is you can basically multiply this a little bit down, so that you can like about 0.02 or something. So it's going to be a like little minor extrusion on top. It's a very minute detail, not really big deal, but yeah, still it helps, right? Hello, what's 9 plus? It's 9 plus 10, 21. Lol. I don't really understand the joke. If that's a joke, I'm sorry. Anyway, let's continue. So this is what we have so far, and hopefully that made sense. And we can add these minute details everywhere. As you can see, it's right up there. You can use RGB curves, but then I think power works pretty fine here. So next up, we need more shapes, right? Let's look at only the material preview mode. You can see that it's right on top, and it should always be in the front. Yeah, let's shade smooth this. So next up, I want to add like these little details again. Like, there's like this minor extrusion inside. So what I can do is I can simply duplicate the whole thing from the length, and place it in a different location basically. So I think I have to actually duplicate everything. You can use my shapes back if you guys want to. Like, I already made all these shapes for you, so that should probably help you guys. Let me just share the link. But I kind of forgot that it's paid one. So if you guys want to buy that, I think it's fine. If not, just ping me over. I will send you some links. So you can use that link to basically go to my channel and download the pack. Next up, let's actually look at this one, and I want it to be in a different location, so I'm going to change it to the positive, so it'll be on the other direction right there. And let's decrease the size to about like there. Like, instead of doing that, let's subtract it from here. So I don't think so this will actually work, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's working. Look at that. So this is like extruded upwards, and this one is extruded downwards. That's exactly what I wanted. So yeah, I kind of win. Let's actually not look at the scene world. Yeah, there you go. It's a minor detail though. To be honest, I prefer RGB curves more than anything because it's more it gives more smoother fall off. But yeah, whatever. There you go. We started making the shape of the camera, and it's going to be a little more longer stream anyway. So I hope what I'm talking is making sense. Oh, my mouse. So let's see. Okay. Next up, let's add. I think I don't think so. This is a circle. Maybe it's a circle, but what I want to make it look like is like capsule shape, which looks like this, like a button, long button. So I can so that it's going to be a really nice practice to generate the shape as well. So it's going to be a little bit more math, but then to show how to do that shape, I'm going to use a plane. Okay, let's create a new material called capsule. To be honest, let's actually use the same material. Instead of the displacement, let's remove that, and let's use a vector math node. Let's use the same coordinates. Let's look at the material preview node, and let's add a vector math just to keep it there or something. Now you can work on it. You can think of it's a circle, like it's a circle, but extended it in the upward direction. Like it's like a circle, but it's kinda like extruded it like in the upward direction. Oh god. Circle. It's just this part is more upwards, like this. Right? So what I can do is I can basically make this shape by taking a length which gives me this, but subtracting in one direction, which basically move me there. And also before that, what I want to do is I have all the negative values here, so I want to make them black. So to make them black, all you can do is take a maximum of 0. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, look at this. So why is this happening? When I mute this, you can see even this location is getting whiter, but you know that here everything is negative, so I don't want negative values over there. So that's exactly why it is not giving any negative values over there. So it's going to just clamp it. When you take maximum of 0, it's going to clamp it. Okay, next up, let's use a subtract node here. You can ask me, you can simply use this one, yeah, whatever. So I can basically move them up and down, and what I want to do here is I want to absolute them, so everything is mirrored in all directions. Now when I basically subtract it, you can see this is happening only in one direction, so that it's all mirrored. So whatever, if this moves up, the mirrored line is about the center, right? So it's going to move down, this one is going to move down. So when I take maximum of 0, this negative values which are inside here are going to become 0. So when you take a length, you'll get this sine distance function of a capsule. So to get the radius, all I have to do is subtract a value, or else subtract from a value, to get the capsule. There you go. Now you can change the length of the capsule at any point of time. So that's pretty handy. So also, as you know, this doesn't go from 0 to this doesn't go from 0 to 1. This goes from 0 to 0.25. What I want to do is add again a value node and a divide node to make it go from 0 to 1. It's really not necessary, but then I like to keep all the gradients from 0 to 1, so that next I can use an RGB curve to basically curve them. Yeah. So this is how you make a shape, like capsule shape or something. So let's delete the plane, no point, and let's unhide the mesh. Let's look at that now. Except I should not be using this coordinates, because it's not happening here. So I want it to be in the top right, so we can use the same coordinates that we have here. Let's look at this now. There you go. From the top view, it's going to be somewhere about there. Let's look at the rendered view. You can change it slowly, but yeah. Let's give the displacement as well, and also let's decrease the size. And I don't want it to be along the y direction, I want it to be along the x direction, so we can do that as well anyway. So now I got this nice little capsule thing going on over there, and I want to place it somewhere about here. Okay, so to do that, we can add another absolute node, not absolute, we can change this to add, and I can change it about any direction I want, about there or something. And I can change the radius to even less. And I can subtract it less, so that it's just like a small little button, not a big deal. Yeah, let's look at the and obviously it's you can see it's overlapping here, so we can move it a little more so that it doesn't overlap. Yeah, right about there. That looks, no, a little more. Right about there looks fine to me, just side by side. Now we can add this to the displacement, right? Yeah, anyway, so we can do this right there. Okay, we can just add a vector, put it there. So this is going to, again, you can see that we are getting this amazing looking things. So let's clamp it. I keep forgetting to clamp stuff. Again, as you can see, I have it in two different direction, and you know I have this gradient, and I can simply multiply them. Now there you go. It's only happening in one direction now, which is good. And let's use another multiply node after the whole thing, and let's multiply this by like 0.2 or something. 0.2. I think 0.2 is also too much. Yeah, look at that, it's too much. Let's go about 0.02. Yeah, that looks about fine to me, except as you can see here, like, if I look at this one, this is like really sharp, like triangle. I don't want that, so I can use RGB curves to basically shape it. Look at that now. Even maybe a little more. Let's get this down. Hopefully this is making sense, guys. Oh yeah, checkers node is pretty useful actually. I use that for like some minor details everywhere, and it can generate nice cool little patterns anyway. So yeah, so far this is what we got, and I'm really happy with the result. This is like this one is a little more complex because it's kind of a weird one. Okay. it's pretty basics, yet like, see, now we got like two nice details on top of that, as well as some minor intrusions. If you don't want, now what we could do is you can basically like scale this a little bit in so that it doesn't look this thick, you know. Everything can be happened right here inside this node. You can make it like around like point. If you look at that, see, it's still going to update everything. You can go around like 0.1 or something to make it look at that. Isn't that nice now? I actually like this one more. Yeah, so you can go like you can just change everything and everything is gonna look amazing. Oh yeah, Pawan, good night. It's like around like what, 2:20 for us? Yeah. Yeah, I think this looks good so far, and I want to keep going on this one. Let's hopefully this is not like, boring. Let me know. And obviously if I look at this one, even this is little too long, right? So I can decrease this to about 2.25 hopefully. Actually no, I think I like it around like 0.3. honestly, I don't want to change anything. Let's keep it. Let's see what all details can be added here. As you can see, we have this nice little things going on. These are like rounded squares, right? Like these are like just squares, like rectangles probably. So to be honest, rectangles are pretty simple as well. Instead of you can simply duplicate this node, the same node setup. Let's do that once more. Like let me hide this, let me add a plane, let me give the same material again. And let's remove the displacement just to show you what's happening. So this is what we have so far, like this one, or is this one? Let's move this one. Absolute maximum. Okay, look at this one. Okay. Right now what you could do is, instead of like subtracting it in only one direction, you can subtract it in both directions. Now you have like a rectangle, right? Which is pretty good actually. Like it's not the perfect one, but yeah, it still is a rectangle. Now you can change this to 0, like, or else like little bit, like very tiny, teensy bit. Like let's go 0.001, 0.001. So you'll get like a proper nice sharp rectangle. If you don't want that, what you could do is like, because we can just build it from scratch, but I think anything is fine. So now you can use the same node setup again and again, and you can, instead of adding, you can subtract it. Except this time what you have to do is you have to subtract it inwards, right? Like you have to subtract it in other direction. As you know, these normals are like pointing upwards, and I still think when you scale it along the normals, it's going to like look in the opposite direction. So I think that's fine. So let's actually do this. And because you know we have 4 here, like 4 things here, I don't want to like literally make 4 different types of like 4. I don't want to duplicate it 4 times. Instead I want to do a little bit of more math so that you know I can basically get it whatever wherever I want. Let's remove this one for now. I don't want this multiply. So 3 1. Okay, let's go to the top here. Let's look at what we have here. So right now I have this one, right? Like the absolute and everything is happening right here, so it's exactly at the center. So what I can do is I can add a math, like a vector math, divide node, and change everything to 1 for now. I can basically divide it along this direction. I mean, let me look at this, like about there, and I can use a fraction node. So this will give me like, you know, these chuckers, which I can simply use it right there, and I can get like half of those things. Except we can subtract 0.5, 0.5 and 0.5 to center them, like center it, as you can see there, which is pretty good. And you can, if you want, you can even like array them. And what you could do next is like increase the thickness a little more along the x direction or something, about there, and you can subtract this one instead of the other ones, which is pretty handy, right? This is like a really nice trick, honestly. I like this one. I don't know why there's like a Z fighting going on here. I think that's because I didn't neglect the Z axis. To do that, we can simply multiply this by 1, 1 and 0, so that you know there is no Z at all and there is no Z fighting. Oh, thank you, Akshat, and thank you, Interpixel. Thank you everyone basically for staying so far. Hopefully you guys are able to understand whatever I'm saying. And if you can, you hear any like background noise or something? Let's see. 1, 1 and 0. This is fine. Absolute is fine. It's fine, 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 fine. Except let's change this to 1. No, let's change this to 0, and let's remove this. Something's not okay. Let's actually change this to 0. Yep. If I subtract it on Z axis, you know, right, it's not going to like show up, because length uses all three axes, and when you move up or down, it's going to basically disappear. And as you know, like I don't want so many, right? I mean, I only want like around 4, so I have to make a mask, which like I can separate XYZ here, and I can use a compare node. Let's use a math compare, and I can compare it right in between, and you know, I can make a mask, and I can multiply them here. Just multiply them. Let's see if this, there you go. I'm able to like isolate few of these things, maybe a little more. Like, see, look at that, 4. I think that's fine. So let me just plug it right over there, and Also, I have it in this direction, which I don't want, right? So I can use another multiply node, except this time I'm going to make a mask only on top or bottom. For that I need y-axis, right? So let's take a math node and change this to greater than or something. Yeah, greater than works fine. Where's greater than? 0. Yeah, and let's multiply this here. So now the zeros will just get cancelled over there, and you'll only get this one. Now you can place this wherever you want and simply just subtract it from this one basically, and you're gonna get it like all four. It's just like 5 nodes maximum. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. After 8 nodes you're basically getting 4 things at the same time, instead of like duplicating 4 times and repositioning it every single thing, repositioning it everything, right? So let's do that now. There. I think arranging is one of the most tedious part, but still important, I guess. So please don't mind me wasting time doing this one. I really don't like to keep it messy. Yep, that's nice. I don't really need RGB curves now because I mean I might need it, except this time it's going to be not too much, honestly. Yeah, I should be adding them together. Okay, I'll tell you. Let's delete this one. Let's unhide our basically our circle, I mean sphere, and let's look at this displacement output. As you can see, something really crazy happened, and I have no idea what's happening. But yeah, let's take a moment and let's understand what's happening. Because you know it's happening in all directions. I don't want that to happen, so let's add this one. Now it's happening again, except there's something else we have to concentrate on. We have to concentrate on the locations of these things, okay? So for that, let's look at only the multiply node here, which looks like it's standing over there. So what I could do is I can let's look once again. I think that's because we are having it in the top one, like, you know, if you look at it from top, it's on top, right? I don't want it to be on top. I want it to be somewhere around like in X and Y direction, like, you know, this. So I think I should be using these coordinates, right? I mean these coordinates. So I think I'll get the whole thing down instead of up. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it seems like it's working. And or else I don't think so. Like, I think it's fine if you duplicate it, don't you think? Let me just duplicate it. No big deal. Now if I plug it right there instead of every other thing, hopefully things should change. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, right now it's here. Here. That's good. So it's still on the corner. So I think I can add values here to basically get them down, hopefully. I think I should do it along the Y direction, honestly. It'll come down, I guess. Let's look at this one now. Yeah, there you go. We are getting there. Now let's place it. And for these things, I think I'll just remove the adaptive subdivisions so that I can just simply visualize stuff in real time. Later on, I can basically remove them anyway. So far so good. Let's place it about there. And also let's place it around there. Yeah, I think it's too big right here, don't you think? So we can basically shrink them, I guess. I don't know. Not that way. Let's use a scale node. No big deal. Let's E. Yeah, that kind of looks right to me. Let's place it above or below. Depends on wherever it is. Now also let's remove these two things. That's because I want it to work. Like, this is good, except I don't want like a lot. Okay, let me just say what I wanted to say. So here it's happening in the X and Z direction, but the mask is along the Y direction, so we have to change it, right? It's along the Z direction, so instead of doing that, you can take the Z direction gradient and plug it there. But as you can see, we don't have Z direction at all, right? Which is why we should not use this one. We should be using this one for the masks at least. Okay, there you go. Now let's bring this down about there. And we have to move this about there so that we can get, okay, hopefully, yeah, now I have 4, which is good. And how about on top? Is there anything on bottom as well? Nothing, right? So all these things are masking, okay, and it's going to take a long time to understand, but still tedious. So I have to think, which I don't really like thinking. Yeah, that's fine. And I also think I want a less than node. Okay, let's save this again. Control Shift D. So let's take a less than node, which is that. But let's see, I want to like mask these things on top. So what I could do is I can move this up about there, and I can just multiply them again. These are just to like mask out things, okay? I don't need to clamp anything here because it's already clamped here. And finally, it's happening in the opposite direction, which is like only here. And I think it's along the Y direction. Let's use a less than node so that it masks one side. And let's multiply them again. So only the white areas is going to stay put, which is that's good. Hopefully we did it. And we can decrease the strength and we can add, and then let's look at the diffuse, and let's also add adaptive subdivisions, and let's refresh the geometry. There you go. There you go. That's amazing. Except I don't want this in the front. I want it to push in. So what I'll do is I'll simply change this to either negative or else change this to subtract. I'll change this to subtract. That's more easy to understand. Now look at that. Isn't that amazing? We already did it. So all these minor details matter a lot. Oh, that's good. Yeah. To be honest, I think you all should join. Like, if you guys are interested in all this stuff, whatever I'm making, I think you should join our Discord server. Link is in the description below. We have so many node wizards over there, and they can help you out with so many other stuff. And now comes the most interesting part, for me at least, doing these button and also the shape. And if you want, we can also make the nuts. I'm not really sure if I want to, but let's not do that actually, because it's more complex. And we can do it, but then I think I can't explain as well as doing it. It's going to take a long time. As you can see here, we have another capsule shape here, right? So let's actually do the capsule shape. So we can just duplicate the node group again, except we don't want, oh, Control Shift. I think I kind of messed it up, didn't I? Yeah, there you go. So let's do that one more time. Let's scale it up a bit, about twice, 2 times, hopefully. Maybe not that's too much. How much was it before? Was it like about 1.5? Okay. God, the undo doesn't work sometimes, and it's really annoying. I think it's 1.5. Oh, 1.5. Hopefully that should work. Yeah, I'm not changing anything more. Except I don't want these, okay, because I want it along this direction. So I want X and Y to go in the direction. So let's see where, right now X and Y is going in the front. So I want it this way. So I want the Y-axis gradient and the Z-axis gradient, okay? Y-axis gradient and the Z-axis gradient. So let's do that then. Let's take our coordinates. Let's separate them. Let's separate them. Separate XYZ not RGB. Doesn't really matter though, but yeah, whatever. Let's use XYZ because it's more like technically correct. And we have the X-axis gradient, and let's also combine them. Let's combine the X-axis gradient. Let's say Y-axis our Y-axis gradient is going to be our X, and Z-axis is going to be our Y. So now you have this, which is good. So let's duplicate this nice little node group. Till here, I guess. And also this one. Control C, Control V, and let's bring them down right there. Because it's a capsule, we can simply reuse the whole thing. So now let's look at that. Yeah, obviously there's going to be some issues. I'm sure we don't need the fraction, we don't need the subtraction. And let's look at the length here. Let's look at the divide node, and let's change it accordingly. I don't want to be anything along the Y direction, and I think about that should work fine. Is it happening the opposite direction? Yes, we can mask it out later on, no problem, except now I don't want it to be so thin, little more bigger, which is good. What about that? 0.01 works fine, hopefully. And let's go about 0.2 here. And also let's add this one right there and change this to 0 and change it along the Y direction, or else the X direction, to a little more front, or else little back, wherever. Remember, we need these coordinates because from this is where our paper is going to come out, right? Not a paper, like the photograph is going to come out. So yeah, let's see. So we need these coordinates. That's important. Oh, bye Akshat. It was nice having you here. How long are we going on? Maybe 1.5 hours or something. Okay, now Let's actually try to make it fast. I'm so sorry. Now let's scale, like we need to like push them in, right? And it's going to like anyway scale along the normals, which is good. So what I'll be doing is I can subtract from this one. So let's add the subtract node and let's connect this over there. So now this is going to look at that, and let's look at the rendered view. Yeah, it's happening, but except it's happening in both directions and it's not good. So we need to mask it out, right? So for that, let's take the y-axis, I guess. Yeah, y-axis, and let's multiply them. So not the y-axis, I think it's the x-axis. Let's take a math node, change this to greater than or less than 0, which is, and let's multiply this with this one. And finally, we have this in one single side, except it is too much. So I'll add a math node, change this to multiply, multiply. And I change this to like 0.03 maximum. Well, it's not 0.03, let's go a little, yeah, I think it's fine. Now let's look at the diffuse shader. Yeah, there you go. We had this nice little thing going on over there. I don't think so. The animation player is active. Is it actually? Oh no. Oh, not really. I really like the smooth things going on here, which is actually making me feel it's actually going in a good direction. But so far, this is what we made, and I'm kind of proud of it, honestly. Not gonna lie. I'm actually taking a lot of time to explain this stuff because it's a little more complex. Like, it's not that complex once you understand the gist of it, right? So let's do this then. Yeah. And now let's use this one, and let's duplicate the whole node setup. Okay, let's simply duplicate it and change the value to like around 0.05, like half of this, and let's multiply the whole thing with a really huge value and clamp it. Okay, and all you have to do is just add it, literally just add it to whatever we have so far. Hopefully that should work, except we can kinda decrease the size to about 0.175. Okay, it's going in the opposite direction. So what if I subtract? Okay, it's going in this direction, which is good. So we can mask it out later on. And also we can use the same less than node to basically multiply it. So let's give it there. Not this multiply. Which multiply is that? Is it this one? Yeah, hopefully. Now let's refresh this. And let's look at the diffuse shader. I mean, I'm going to like mask this out and make it look like it's coming out, okay? Like image. Obviously, I have to like change a little more stuff here. It's just the interpolation that's screwing things up right now. So let's add an RGB curve. Not RGB curve. And change the linear interpolation to vector handle. Yeah, really sharp interpolation. Obviously it's going to give you a lot of errors, but I think it's fine, honestly. No, wasn't expecting this one. I don't have to like literally all I just changed was, change this somewhere about there and everything screwed up. RGB curves for a reason. Okay, now let's plug this up there. Hopefully this actually doesn't seem that bad, honestly. Let's use after this I think let's use a minimum. It's updating geometry, but yeah. So we can use this one to basically animate it. Okay. Yeah, it's getting like it's going to look like a Node Specty soon. Yeah, I like this one, honestly. I'm really happy that it turned out this well. And there are a lot of minor details we can add on top of that. Let me know what all you think I should add to this one. Let's look at the camera view. Like press 0. Yeah. I think I have a really strong depth of field and really bad camera angle. So let's change it. G is easy. Let's get this down. And I think this is fine. Except I'm going to change the depth of field to the object in a second. Let's select the camera. Let's go to depth of field and change the thing to here. Okay. Looks good so far. I'm going to play around the whole node things a little more and then add more details on top of this and make it look more like look better, I guess. But yeah, for now I'm actually happy with how it's going to turn out, so I'll add more details on top of that and maybe actually animate it. Let's see wherever it goes, honestly. I'll look at some reference images again just to see what I can add on. I can add this switch on and off switch button, I guess. It's not that complex though, except like you have to like think about some more math stuff. And what else can I add? Like maybe these small rings. And yeah, texturing part I want to do it in the final, so I don't want to do it right away. Let's actually do this one. This nice little thingy over there. So I want to keep it in this direction, or is this direction? Which one is good? Or else we can do something else, like we have this border here, like this nice little border. Let's do that. So for that all I have to do is just take x-axis or y-axis gradient, which I think I already have so many. And yeah, you might ask like, why Chen, you're not cleaning the nodes up? Yes, I will. I'm sorry. So let's bring this down. Yeah, and this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Yeah, perfect. Hopefully this looks good. So let's place it there and here. And this is going to be our printer, like actual print. PRINT. Let's put it there, and let's get this here, and let's get this there. So far so good. And let me just put everything in under one frame here. And all these things are masks, right? That's good. I do things really slow. That's how I work. So hopefully that doesn't annoy anyone. So let's bring the mask here. Control G. That's it. And let's bring it up there. Yeah, perfect. Yep. Control save everything. Save everything. Oh, thank you, Luca. So let's try to add like more details on top of this. One second. Okay, let's start adding details on top of that. Except because it's just going to just place things around, I'm going to just turn off adaptive subdivisions. So I'll just get some looks at it, and more fast, and it's more fast obviously. Next up, let's separate them again, and all I have to do is take the y-axis gradient, I guess, and take an absolute of this. So right now I got this one, right? This nice little thing going on here. So next up, what I can do is I can add a multiply node here. Multiply this with really high values so that it tightens, like it tightens a bit. And let's move this a little more. By adding a math node, change this to add about there. Let's see if this overlaps anything. Yeah, it kind of overlaps this one, right? So let's get this a little bit less about there. Now let's use adaptive subdivisions to basically check if everything lines up properly. Yeah, I think that's perfect, honestly. Like, actually it looks good. So what I want to do is like I want to push this in X direction, Y direction, so that it looks like it's really sharp. And we can use an RGB curves after this anyway. Let's clamp it, and let's stack a math node. Subtract, like let's use a combine XYZ node. I want to push this in X direction as well as in Y direction. Wait a second. In Z direction? No. I want to push this in Z and X, yeah. Z and which direction is this? Y. Not in the X. Is it in the X? Okay. X actually, I'm sorry. I'm so confused. Oh no. Okay. Let's add a math node. Let's add this to the whole thing. Not actually working. Back to math. Multiply. Actually multiply, I guess. But add? Yeah, multiply. There you go. Not really sure if that's visible, but I think it is actually doing what I expected it to do. Except, I need to like increase the scale, like I have to like, bump up this even more so that it tightens up over there. Like maybe a little more, like about 100. Now look, you have this nice little outline over there on the corner, which is like pretty good. Except I'm going to like add it a little more. anyway. Add a little more to it anyway. Let's go to solid view, save the file. I know these details doesn't really matter in the final render because they're small, but I'm just showing you like why exactly I'm doing this. So now let me explain you why I did it in like why I multiplied like low value in x direction, y direction, but not in the like in the z direction, x direction, but not in the y direction. Okay, that's kind of simple to understand. Let me put this. And honestly, I think this turned out pretty fine. Or else I can also use an RGB curve after this, you know, like literally RGB curve, and change the profile of this so that, you know, that's how it's going to be looked at. There you go. It's more smoother now. This makes things 1,000 times better. You can think it out in this way, okay? So what vector displacement does basically just moves all the vertices in 3 directions, right? So here I have x direction, and I want these things to basically scale along x direction so that they'll push in. But if I scale it along y direction, the things will move this side and this side, which I don't want, right? This is y direction, and if I scale it along y direction, these vertices are going to move in x and y, in y direction, which I don't really want. So that's basically why I think why I didn't multiply it along y direction. Let's see what happens if I multiply in y direction. Nothing happens, but it kind of moves towards the other side, which I don't want. Okay, look at this, look at this. It'll just shift a little. I don't want that. Okay, hopefully that made sense. If you want, we can actually duplicate this one more time and you know, do more stuff to it, but honestly it really doesn't matter. And I think I'm going a little slow and also out of time. It's almost 1 hour 50 minutes. Thank you guys for sticking around. Hopefully this all made sense. I think I'll continue the whole thing tomorrow, or else I might complete this and submit for Nodevember. So, but I really want to stop the stream here. So let me know. Okay then. Thank you guys for joining, and I hope you all learned something new. And yeah, that's it for the stream. Bye. I'll meet you guys tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow the prompt, let me just look at the prompt once more. What's tomorrow's prompt? Let me open the picture. Yeah, it is tomorrow's layered. Okay, this is going to be pretty much fun. Layered. We can think more stuff to this. Layered is good. That's a good one. Anyway, thank you all. Hopefully you all understood something. And yeah,